and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting yet another reading vlog for you guys. This is going to be more of a weekend reading vlog. I think I'm going to film this video through like Sunday or so. So we'll see how much reading I can get done in that time span, but I definitely do have quite a few exciting books on this TBR. Well, they're books that I'm excited for, at least. So I do have 3 of them. We'll see if I can read all of them. I feel like maybe I can because I am going to listen to one of these on audio while I do a puzzle. So that'll definitely like be a nice, easy read. And the other 2 I'm just like really hyped about. So let me show you guys my TBR for this weekend and then we'll get into the video. So the first book is a book that is on my 2025 TBR. I really want to read at least 2 books that are on my 2025 TBR in January. Whether or not that's actually going to happen, don't ask me, but that is my like potential maybe goal. And if I read this, I will also be completing one of these series that I really wanted to complete this year, and that is the Lady Trent series. So obviously I need to read Within the Sanctuary of Wings. This is the book that I'm probably going to be listening to on audio because I really like the audiobooks for this. They are narrated by Kate Reading. She also narrates the Stormlight Archive, and I really enjoy her narration with those books as well. So obviously I want to continue to listen to the audiobooks for this series. I honestly don't know what's going on in this book. I know I've started this. I think I've made it at least to the 100-page mark, but I don't remember any of that 100 pages, hence why I DNF'd it back in like June, I think is when I first tried to read it. But it is high time I finish up this series finally. I also believe this one has a little bit more of a snowy setting in it. Honestly, I don't even think this book has like a synopsis. And I know it's the last book in a series, so it doesn't need a synopsis, but that's really weird that there's not one on here. Maybe I should look it up. Oh, okay, this sounds good. All right, so it says, this concluding volume will finally reveal the truths behind her most notorious adventure, scaling the tallest peak in the world, behind the territory of Skirlin's enemies, and what she discovers there within the Sanctuary of Wings. So I believe they're climbing a mountain, which sounds really good. I could definitely be into that, and I did want to read this one in January because again, it like has a snowier setting. I'm going to be continuing on another series in this vlog as well because I would really like to read the next book in the Murderbot series, which I believe is Rogue Protocol. Pretty sure this is the 3rd one. Of course, it doesn't say on any of these books what number they are in the series, but I'm pretty sure this is the 3rd one. I don't really know what Murderbot is getting up to in this one, but I like that the very first sentence on the blurb says sci-fi's favorite antisocial AI is back on a mission, which is just a really apt way to describe Murderbot thus far. So I'm really excited to kind of figure out what the plot of this volume specifically is going to be. And I'm also really intrigued to see the more overarching plot of this series potentially come into focus a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. Regardless, I'm really excited about this one. It's also nice and short, so I feel like this is perfect for like a kind of shorter term reading vlog. And then the last book that I have on this TBR I am so excited about because I know so many people really love this book. I've heard it's a great blend between fantasy as well as kind of a detective murder mystery type vibe, and that is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the lovely UK edition, which I just kind of prefer to the US one, in case you were wondering. But I believe this book came out last year and I saw so many great reviews for it that I was instantly intrigued by it. I've heard it very much has Sherlock and Watson type characters in it, which I'm quite excited about, and I've just heard really good things about all of Robert Jackson Bennett's books. I've never read one before. This is going to be my first one, but I know he has some other series that are very beloved. So if I like this one, obviously I will be checking those out. I also believe the second book to this series is coming out this year, maybe? All right, A Drop of Corruption, which is the second one, comes out on April 1st. So very soon, kind of, if I, you know, like this one and want to continue. So here are my 3 reading plans for the weekend. I'm very excited about all of them. I feel like they're all serving some different purposes in my life. So I'm excited for the variety that I have going on. Aside from those, I don't really have anything else major that I'm planning to do this weekend. I am probably going to do a little bit of puzzling while I listen to the audiobook for Within the Sanctuary of Wings, because for Christmas I did get the Winter Brambly Hedge puzzle. Last year I did the summer and autumn versions of this puzzle, so obviously this year I must do the winter and spring ones, which I'm so excited about because they're just so freaking cute. Look at these little illustrations. I also just really enjoy putting this puzzle together because even though, I mean, you guys didn't ask for my puzzle review, but I'm gonna give it anyway. Even though it's like a 1,000 piece puzzle, it's kind of broken up into like, you know, mini things. Like it's really easy to group these pictures together and like put them together that way. So it's kind of like you're putting together a bunch of little smaller puzzles, which I enjoy. I will be working on this. I don't know if I'll be finishing it, but I want to work on it. And then I also really desperately need to catch up on my hobonichi. I have done nothing really for it so far this year aside from fill out a couple days of journaling. And I know I said I think it was like last month, that I wasn't going to go and backfill, but I would kind of like to go and backfill for kind of what I've missed so far in January, because it just looks so empty. So I think I'm gonna spend a decent chunk of time tomorrow working on that, doing a bunch of the little collage pages, because I really love having them, but I haven't been like super motivated to do them recently. So I think if I do them in bulk, it'll probably kind of work better, and then I'll get caught up and I can like, you know, do them once a week as I have been doing. Oh, also one other thing that I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to go visit a new library, which I'm very excited about, because I found out that there's a library system that's like kind of close to me that I can go get a library card at if I go in person and like ask for one. So I want to go to a new library. I want to do that. They also have a book that I've been wanting to get from the libraries that are near me, but even though this book, it came out in August, because I really want to get Wisteria by Adeline Grace and read it soon. It came out in like August, and apparently the copies are still on order from my library. I'm not exactly sure what's up with that. Don't know. But this other library system has like physical copies of it, so I would like to go pick one of those up as well, so I can read the book, because I really would like to read it physically, but I don't want to buy physical copies. So this is great. I was very excited when I found that out, and I will be going to do that. Going to see what the selection is like. It's probably not much different than the library that I currently have, but you know, I'll be happy to add another library card to my collection. Anyway, I think that's everything that I needed to share with you guys in this video. I'm very excited for the reading that I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm thinking I might want to start out with Rogue Protocol, just because, you know, it'll be a fast read. I can finish it today, hopefully. So those are like, you know, the fun plans today. I do have class tonight, which is the not fun plan for today. My semester started yesterday, and I'm taking 2 classes this semester. Also, I get this question a lot when I mention that I have like class and stuff. A lot of you guys ask me what I'm in school for. I'm currently getting my master's in mechanical engineering, and I'm taking 2 courses this semester. One of them is like a biomedical device design class, which I am quite interested in. And then the one that I have tonight is like computational fluid dynamics, which I'm dreading so hard. I desperately do not want to take this class, but it was like the only thing that fit with my schedule. So we'll see how it goes. Fluid dynamics was like my least favorite undergrad class that I took, so the fact that I now have to do more of it, I'm like, yay. But it's fine. It's gonna be great. I'm just gonna hype myself up for it, and maybe it won't be that bad, but we'll see. But I do have that tonight at 5:30. Yeah, that's kind of everything that I'm doing today. Those are the plans and such. So I'm just gonna get into it by doing a little bit of reading, and I will get back to you later with an update. Alright, so it is now Saturday morning. It's been a couple days since we last had a bit of a chat, and I have not been doing enough reading to show for those 2 days of no communication. I've just been spending an ungodly amount of time on my phone. I don't even know what I've been doing, but I'm hoping today I can stop doing that. I don't need her. I'm sick of it, honestly, because I want to do some reading, so that's my goal for today. No phone. Just books. However, I have finished one book, but it was just my novella, so it's only like 150 pages. But progress is progress is progress. And I did finish up Rogue Protocol. I don't think I like this one quite as much as I liked the first two. I just feel like there were points in this book where I was just a little bit, I don't know, bored with what was happening. But based on where I think the next novella is gonna go, I think I'm gonna be a little bit more engaged in it. I think we're going to be revisiting some characters that we kind of were acquainted with in, I think, the first book, which I'm quite excited about because I really enjoyed Murderbot's dynamic with those characters from the first book. So now that we're gonna like kind of get back to that, I think I'm very excited about that one. So I will be starting Exit Strategy. That's the 4th one. Maybe soon. Maybe I'll read it next week. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just still excited about reading the Murderbot series, even though this one like wasn't my favorite. However, I think this did have my favorite kind of dynamic in it with Murderbot and the kind of bot that we were mainly focusing on in this book. Because in this book, we're following Murderbot as it goes on another one of its adventures. It ends up sneaking on to this ship that is going to this kind of far off, abandoned terraforming site. And on the ship, there end up being like a couple of different people. There are also some augmented humans that are acting as security, as well as this bot whose name is Miki. I think that's how you say it. And Miki has a very interesting dynamic with its kind of human guardians, I suppose, because it's a very casual, trusting, wholesome relationship almost, which is something that we haven't really seen with robots in this series before, and it's also something Murderbot hasn't really experienced either. So kind of seeing it, dealing with it, I found to be very interesting and also very funny at times, because there would be these conversations between the human and Miki that you could see like the human really cared for Miki and kind of considered it a friend almost. And Murderbot was either disgusted at the wholesomeness or it was like, I need to leave and go have an emotion, which I thought was quite funny, but also quite sad because you could see that Murderbot was having, you know, some conflicting feelings about everything that's going on. It hasn't really experienced a relationship between humans and robots like that before, and it also kind of gives you as a reader another kind of insight into what some of the human bot dynamics can be like in this series. Because up until this point, it's mainly been robots that are in the service of humans, and humans don't really care much for the bots, especially with the first-hand account that we get from Murderbot of what its experiences with humans have been like in the past. And they're not good. So you could definitely tell that there is a bit of envy that it has towards this human and this bot. So I just really enjoyed that, and I think it's been my favorite dynamic that Murderbot has had with another bot in this series. But I just feel like overall the story itself was somewhat interesting. I kind of enjoyed it, but it just wasn't my favorite. It definitely has added a little bit more to the like overall plot of this series, and I'm really excited to see kind of more of that come into focus as we get into the next book, even though I said the same thing about the last one. But I do really like the slow build of this overarching plot as the series has progressed, and the more and more you learn and the more and more Murderbot goes on these kind of different adventures. It learns more things, you learn more things. It's just a really cool way to do it. So I liked this one. It was fun. I just love seeing Murderbot interact with humans because the whole thing that's happened in like all 3 of these has been it talking about how like it doesn't care about the humans and it's, you know, just there to be security, but it's not gonna like do too much for them. And then it always ends up caring for the humans and stepping in to save the day, like, but very begrudgingly at the same time. Which is just such a good combination, honestly. But I feel like the more that I'm thinking about it, the one thing that this book lacked for me was more of those humorous moments, I suppose. Because there were a lot of things that make me laugh. Murderbot's running kind of internal dialogue is very funny. But I feel like it's better when it kind of has something to bounce off of. Like, for example, in the second book in the series, there's this whole ship that it ends up forming a begrudging friendship with, which was very entertaining. But even though Murderbot had a very interesting relationship with Miki in this one, I didn't find it to be as funny as the first 2, I suppose. It still was, but just not quite to that extent. I guess. I don't know, like, I didn't not like this book, obviously, but it just wasn't as strong as the first two. Anyway, I did go to the library yesterday. I did want to show you guys what I picked up from the library. I also did get my new library card for another library system, which is very exciting because I now have another card that I can add onto my Libby account. So, more options. Always good. I just had such a nice afternoon though yesterday because I had a lovely conversation with the librarian. I did a little bit of browsing. It was just so nice. So let me show you what I picked up. I did go to 2 different libraries. One of them I just had a hole to pick up at, and then like the other one was the new one. Anyway, not that it really matters, but let me just show you what I got. So I did pick up Wisteria by Adlon Grace. This is the 3rd book in the Belladonna series, and I think the final one. I'm pretty sure it's just a trilogy. Although I do believe there's going to be a novella that's like coming out for this series next year. I think or this year. I keep saying next year. This year. In September. I think it's called Holly. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like a Christmassy novella or what, but I'm excited about it, and I will definitely be reading it whenever it comes out. But 3rd one in the Belladonna series. I've been wanting to read this, but I just really wanted a physical copy of it. So yeah, I'm hoping to read this one in February. I would really like to continue the series, you know what I mean. And then I also picked up a really random book, which I'm pretty sure I saw Gabby Reed's talk about sometime last year, and it just sounded really interesting. It's definitely not something I normally pick up because I think this is like a horror dystopian. I don't really know what the vibes of this book are, but it's Nothing But the Rain by Naomi Salmon. I believe this takes place in a town where it rains a lot, which obviously that's kind of the main reason that it intrigues me. But apparently the more it rains, the more the inhabitants of this town are losing their memories, which I think sounds so interesting. Like a little bit spooky, definitely very atmospheric because of all of the rain, and I can definitely get into like some weird stories like this every now and then. I mean, you know, January is not typically the time I go for stories like this, but I saw it. I wasn't looking for it. It just kind of like popped out at me. So I took that as a sign to go ahead and pick it up. It's also so short. Like, look at how tiny this thing is. It's only like 93 pages. So I'm hoping I can read this soon, but I don't know. And then the last book I picked up, I think I'm the most excited about out of all 3 of these because I picked up Immortal by Sue Lin Tan. This is a newer release. It came out in like early January, so I was kind of surprised I got a hold for this so quickly because I only placed the hold like a couple days ago. But this is Sue Lin Tan's newest release. It is a standalone fantasy romance situation, and even though I've really enjoyed one book from Sue Lin Tan, and then I really did not enjoy one of the only other book that I read from Sue Lin Tan, but I think I'm really gonna enjoy this one, so I really wanted to pick it up. Honestly, I'm so close to just buying a physical copy of this book for myself because look at this cover. Like, this is so stunning. But the first editions have hot pink sprayed edges on them, and I have really grown to dislike plain sprayed edges on books. I don't know, like, they don't do anything for me, and I would rather just have like the plain book. So I don't know how they got a plain book, but I'd like one of these. If I can find one, I'll buy it and I'll turn this back in. I mean, listen to Stephanie Garber. She says it's treacherously beautiful and dazzlingly romantic. That sounds perfect. I want to read this in February. Feels like the perfect February book, so hopefully, no, I'll definitely be reading this in February. It's also my 2025 TBR, so just be knocking them off. Very excited about that, but that's my little library haul. But as for my plans for the rest of the day, obviously I'm going to be doing some reading. So I would really like to start The Tainted Cup. I still have not started it. I'd like to finish this book before the end of this video, even though, you know, it's already Saturday. This vlog might be a day or so late, so don't mind that. So I'm going to get into this. I'm definitely going to start it this morning and hopefully make some good progress. I also would like to work on my puzzle this afternoon while I listen to my audiobook for the Lady Trent book, so that'll be really good as well. So those are my cozy, chill Saturday plans. So let's just get into them by doing some reading. currently Monday morning. I am theoretically supposed to be in class right now, but class got canceled. Don't worry, I'm not skipping in the second week, but so I've had a lovely slow start to my Monday, which has been so nice. But I'm here with some reading updates because I have started both of these. Oh, I also caught up. Let me show you. I mean, I already showed you 3 of the pages, but I did end up skipping one of them because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with it. And I still don't know if I love it, but I thought I would show you in case you're curious. So here's the page that I didn't end up doing yesterday. But I really like how the other ones turned out. My one that I did for this week is one of my favorites. I'm a big fan. And I'm so glad that I finally caught up on my hobonichi because I had previously not done anything for the year at all, which is unacceptable. But I am trying to figure out, I'll talk about the reading in a second, don't worry, but I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for my next journal because I got one that starts in April because I started this like back in July and I didn't want to have a journal for like 5 months. I was like, instead I'll have one for 9 months, you know? But basically that means it's not almost up, but like it is almost up. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to get another hobonichi weeks or if I want to get an A6, which is like, or is it cousin? No, I think it's an A6. An A6 is like shorter but wider, which could be kind of interesting to try out. I don't know. If you guys have any input on that, I'd love to know. I need to watch like some videos about it and stuff because I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I'm debating. I'm thinking, I'm having thoughts about it. Anyway, should we talk about reading? I think so. First up, I did finally get back into Within the Sanctuary of Wings, and I'm having such a lovely time listening to the audiobook for this. Like, I love an audiobook, and I love the audiobooks for the Lady Trent series, which I think I already said in this vlog. I'm just repeating myself at this point, but I have made it up to chapter 8, I think I'm on. And look at this recent illustration. Isn't that cool? There are a bunch of illustrations throughout these books, which I think are done by Isabella, who's the main character, which I think is cool. But basically in this book, Isabella is approached by this guy from some other part of the world, and he's trying to get help unearthing this, like, dragon carcass that he found, I think. It's something to that effect. And he ends up enlisting the help of Isabella and a couple of other people to go with him, and they have to like climb this mountain to get there. And I just love that the series finally has a colder setting, because I feel like for the most part we've been in like, you know, some tropical areas, we've been on the sea for a while, went to like a jungle type vibe in the 4th one. But I really like that this one is like a mountain climbing thing because that just sounds really cool. And it's also the perfect time to read it because it is very cold outside. It's currently 32 degrees Fahrenheit outside, which honestly isn't that bad, but like it is kind of chilly, you know? So it's like the perfect time to read a book about them climbing a snow-capped peak. You know what I'm saying? And I've really only gotten to the part where they go to this village that they're staying at before they kind of like embark on their mountain expedition thing, and I've just really enjoyed it so far. The series as a whole isn't like a favorite series of mine, but it's a series that I just really enjoy visiting, a series that I enjoy existing in a little bit. It's set in this fantasy world that kind of has like a Victorian vibe to the time period that they're in. So, you know, there's a lot of things about propriety and Isabella being a woman in a natural science field, which I always enjoy. Also, in this book, they were traveling by Heiliger. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they're like hot air balloons, which I just think is so interesting. There's an illustration of it in here somewhere. Here they are. Are they maybe they're Zeppelins. I don't know what the difference is, frankly. But everything so far in this world, such as the modes of transportation and kind of the attitudes of people, feels very Victorian-esque, is basically what I'm trying to say, or like turn of the century. I also really enjoy any interaction that Isabella has with the locals of the area that they're staying in, because I feel like the cultures of the people that we kind of end up encountering throughout this series are always really well fleshed out. There's always some deeper commentary implied, especially in the way that Isabella is kind of interacting with them, which I always really enjoy that as well. I think it's well done. I'm just a big fan of this series. I'm a big fan of this final one, and I'm probably definitely going to be finishing this one. In this vlog, at least, I'm going to continue listening to the audiobook. I'm going to do my puzzle finally today, which I'm so excited about. And I think I'll definitely just like listen to the rest of it while I work on my puzzle. So it'll be a lovely way to spend my Monday. But that is not the only reading update I have because, as I said, I also started The Tainted Cup by Jackson Bennett. I ended up doing some sprints with my patrons yesterday, and we sprinted for like 5 hours or so, and I read 100 pages, which honestly, like, that ratio does not sound that good. We just talk a lot, but The Tainted Cup. This one is very interesting so far. I think I'm liking it. It's very much unlike any other fantasy world that I've really read about before, but I love it for that reason, honestly. But this book opens up with our main character, Din, going to this estate where a murder has taken place. He's like the assistant to a very famous and very eccentric investigator. So she sends him into these crime scenes so he can, like, you know, relay information back to her. And he can do this because in this world there are like augmentations that humans can do to themselves to increase, like, you know, speed or strength or whatever. But with our character, he has an augmentation that improves his memory, so he basically has a photographic memory. So she sends him into these places to like inspect the crime scene, and then he'll be able to relay like any little details she could possibly need to know, which is really cool. And I love how those fantasy elements of like the augmentations are enhancing the murder mystery. Aside from it being a fantasy with a normal murder mystery, it's kind of like a good melding of the two, I suppose. So he is sent into this estate where somebody has been murdered, but he's not told anything about the nature of the death. And I didn't read the synopsis going into this book, so I didn't know this was coming, but when they started explaining it, I was like, huh? So basically a guy sprouted a tree from his body, and naturally that did kill him. But the way it was described, it was just so in detail, so visceral. I was like, this is something. I must say, this is something. Din was horrified, I was horrified, but it was quite a way to start out a book, I must say. So he does all of his inspecting, his surveying, whatever, and he goes back to the lead investigator, whose name is Anna. He kind of relays everything to her, and pretty early on they ascertain how this was done, and they also kind of figure out partially who did this. But as the book goes on, the scope of this murder kind of broadens a lot, and our two main characters end up going to a different place in this world, which this world is really interesting. I haven't talked about it at all. Basically, there are like these circular walls that are built around these kingdoms. They're like concentric, I think that's the right word, circles. And the outermost one kind of backs up to the sea. And basically these walls are in place because there are these giant leviathans that live in the sea. And every single wet season, there's always kind of the impending doom of a leviathan like coming onto land, breaking down the wall and murdering everybody, basically. Which again is something I can't say I've encountered in a fantasy book before, but it's very interesting, very unique. So there are just a lot of like little aspects to this book that I really like. I like the murder mystery, I like the kind of, it's not a magic system per se, but like the augmentations that people can do. It kind of reminds me of the augmented humans that are very present in like the Murderbot series. So it kind of feels like it has a sci-fi edge to it almost, which I do enjoy. I just feel like there's so many different aspects to the story that are really unique and really well thought out. Like one of my favorite things, which was just such a small thing, is that instead of air conditioning in this world, like a, you know, proper air conditioning system as one could potentially have, they have these giant mushrooms that sit in the corner of every room in a house, and they like suck in the air, and like something in the mushroom then cools the air down and it breathes it back out, which I don't know, just like something about that has really stuck with me since I read it yesterday because it's just so random. But I love it, honestly. I also really like the dynamic between Din and Anna because it does very much feel like a Sherlock and Watson kind of dynamic, where Anna's a very eccentric woman. She's got some quirks to her, but she's also very smart and competent and is like, you know, solving these mysteries with ease or whatever. And then you have Din, who kind of just has to like put up with everything that she does. He's kind of exasperated with her at times, but you can definitely tell he has a lot of respect for her in her methods, even though they're a little bit unconventional. So I just always love a Sherlock and Watson dynamic. It's always just a solid dynamic to employ, and I feel like it's working really well so far in this one. But you know, I'm enjoying both of these. I just want to take my time with the Tainted Cup a little bit more, so I'm not gonna finish this one in this vlog, and I think I'm gonna focus on finishing Within the Sanctuary of Wings instead. So this sounds just like a great way to spend my Monday. Honestly, I'm a little bit sad that the series will be over because I've been reading the series for like 2 years now, but I am excited to see kind of the conclusion to this series. I don't really know if it's gonna feel like much of a conclusion because thus far the books have kind of just been chronicling different adventures that Isabella has gone on, so it's not really like an overarching plot. So I don't know what this last book is gonna give me, but I do know there's a 6th book, kind of, that a couple of you have told me about, and I think it follows, who does it follow? Oh, okay. I thought this was gonna spoil something, but it follows a granddaughter of Isabella, and it's called Turning Darkness into Light. So I'll probably pick that one up as well, just because I really enjoy like the writing style of this one. So yeah, I cannot wait for that. So the series is over It's not quite over, but like it's a little bit over, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I've done too much rambling in this update, so I'm going to get into some reading. I'm gonna do my puzzle later, and then I'll see you sometime with another update. Hopefully, I've finished this book the next time I talk to you. It's now Tuesday afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is. Hello. I have finished up my other book, so I'm here to finish out the vlog. Very exciting. Finally finished the Lady Trent series, big moment. And I actually really enjoyed this one. I feel like this was kind of the perfect way to conclude the series. I did not see what was going to like go on in this book in the slightest. So when it started happening, I was like, oh, and I actually really loved it. Like, I just feel like the series has been building towards something like this, and seeing it actually happen, I loved. I loved it for Isabella. I loved it for me. It was just so good. This book definitely has my favorite interactions between Isabella and the locals of the area that she kind of ends up in. I just loved it. It felt like just the perfect way. I know I already said this, but like it really is just the perfect way to finish off this series. And I don't really know if I have anything else to say about it, honestly. I just really love where everything ended up with our characters. Also, I love the character art in the back. I've been listening to this on audio, so I haven't really been looking at any of the pictures. But like, oh, this is cool. Look at this. Dragons, wow. But I can't lie, I was a little bit sad when I read the last page. I was like, oh damn, it's over. I feel like this is definitely a series that I would consider revisiting. I would definitely want to reread some of the books in the series. I feel like there are definitely some that I wouldn't reread. But like the first one, the fourth one, and this one, I probably would consider giving a reread because they are kind of the standouts of the series for me. I feel like I remember the most about all of them. Well, obviously this one. But like, you know, the fourth and the first one have stayed with me. So I would consider giving those a reread, but this is just such a great series. If you want a series about a natural historian that really dives in to the natural history aspects of things, this is definitely the way to go because it goes in depth with like everything you could possibly need to know involving dragons, which is really cool because, you know, a lot of my favorite series do feature natural historians because you have the Veronica Speedwell series. She loves butterflies. And while there is butterfly info in that series, it's really more of like a romance mystery series. Whereas this, like the dragon studying is like at the forefront, which I love about this series because it's just a little bit different from the normal books that I like to pick up with this general vibe. I really enjoyed how the dragons were expanded upon in this book as well. It is definitely very different from a lot of the other kind of dragons that we're featuring in the other books in the series. This one is, it's so good. Like, I just really loved it. Like, the more I think about it, the more I'm just so content with the ending of the series. And I feel like it is so seldom that I feel that way about the endings of series, but this one just like kind of hit it out of the park. It was a really solid conclusion. I'll stop saying it. I know I've said it like so many times, but it really was. Like the whole time I was reading it, I was just like, yeah, this is good. So, yeah, I finished up Within the Sanctuary of Wings. This was also on my 25, no, I did not do 25 for 2025. This is on my 2025 TBR. First book off my 2025 TBR, done. Anyway, that's all I have to say. That's all I've been doing is finishing up this book. I did work on my puzzle some more, and that's literally it. That's all I did. Anyway, it's time to conclude this vlog. We are done. This is the end. Where'd it go? I was about to grab this book, but this is not the Murderbot book that I read. All right, well, I'm gonna hold this one up and we're gonna pretend that this one is Rogue Protocol because I don't know where that one went. Anyway, I finished 2 books in this vlog, a little bit less than I was hoping for, but I do fear a little bit of a reading slump is coming upon me, and I do not want to exacerbate it. So I'm gonna take it slow with my reading for a little bit, and you're seeing that in this vlog right now because that's just kind of what I'm in the mood for. But anyway, I finished this one, and then I finished, not this one, but I finished Rogue Protocol in this vlog as well. Both of them were, you know, somewhat solid installments in their respective series. This one I definitely enjoyed a lot more than Rogue Protocol, and I'm so glad that I finally got to it, and I'm glad that I waited to get to it because I don't think reading it back in June was the move. It wasn't the vibe, but you know what? It was the mood and the vibe for late January, so it was kind of perfect. And that's it. I mean, I also did read 100 pages of The Tainted Cup, which I also do not know the location of at this moment in time. It's around here somewhere. I'm sorry this video is a little bit late. I am posting it on Wednesday morning as opposed to my normal Monday morning. Thank you for bearing with me. I am sad that I could not post this on Monday morning, but thank you for being patient and waiting for it anyway. I love being a part of your Monday morning routine. If you do end up watching my videos on Monday mornings, I'm honored, honestly. But now I can be a part of your Wednesday morning routine if you're watching this on the day that I'm posting it. Yeah, we've reached the end of the video. I'm gonna go, but first I do want to take a second to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you're ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. We do some fun stuff, buddy reads, extra videos, journaling content. We're doing a readathon in February, which is gonna be super fun. I think it's my best readathon to date, honestly. Like, I'm really happy with it. If you want to know more about it, you could check the link down below if you want to. But with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you again so much for watching this video. I hope you're all having an amazing Wednesday or whatever day it is that you are watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!